Good morning. I'm about 4 miles into trail and hiking to Pearisburg to Angel's Rest. Had a wonderful time at Woods Hole. Beautiful kind of retreat day yesterday, doing yoga and relaxing and having good quality food. And I'm into the trail and we're at our first shelter for the day, and it has this amazing deck and an Adirondack chair. And so I've been hiking with Fussy Mary, who's day hiking the Appalachian Trail, a woman after my own heart. So she's slack packing and staying at hotels and shuttling herself with her vehicle. And Julie, who is day hiking with Mighty Blue, who was a section hiker that finished the trail several years ago after many years of working hard towards that goal. And then there's Blue. So this is kind of who's around me on the trail so far today. I realize that I don't take many times to sit and videotape. I'm usually walking and talking, so thought today on a 12-mile day that I would take some time to sit and chat. I am overlooking the valley that Pearisburg is in. Don't have a clear view or else I'd show you, but I can see it through the trees. But I know the camera focuses on the trees and not the landscape out. So I had a really nice stay at Woods Hole Hostel. Got some time to spend time with people that I haven't spent much time with on the trail, and that was really nice, and met a few new people who I'll probably never see again because they were young, fast hikers that are just speeding through. But I also had time while I was there to think more about my hike, and had a really good conversation with my husband this morning about, I feel like this past week am falling into a trap that I need to free myself from. I found myself getting competitive for the first time. And competitive, probably means different things to different people, but what I was realizing, let me just move this over here, was that I was looking at people on Instagram, seeing how fast they were going, and they were catching up to me, or they're making more time. And I did 3 20-mile days last week, and my shin splint started hurting me again. And I realized that I'm trying to do bigger miles to make the people around me happier, so they can get bigger miles because they're capable. And even though I can do it, I know that I should not do it. And I think just taking a day away from my friend group yesterday and taking the time to have a day by myself and really just get my head straight really has made me look forward to this next week with a little more clarity. I really want to try to focus, if I have a 20-mile day, that's fine, but I really want to try to focus on, the 15 to 16 miles seems to be my sweet spot, and that's all my schedule has me doing. So I don't know if I've told you about this, so I have a Google spreadsheet that I did before I came out to the trail. And it's become a little bit of a joke on the trail because I'm a planner. It's just comes naturally to me. I love logistics, which is why it's easy for me to stay at hostels and inns, because I can plan that out. I can make it happen. And people around me on the trail appreciate that because I'm doing, some of the thinking that goes into that. And so I have this spreadsheet on Google Drive, and I needed to plan out, if I take 5 days off for my daughter's graduation and I take a weekend off for a girls' weekend that I do every year with some friends, where will that have me finishing the trail, and how many miles a day do I need to finish the trail by a certain time? And so I got it all laid out, and I once a week go on that drive and I update it with where I am. And would you believe, I might be the only person on the Appalachian Trail to ever say this, I literally am on the day where I said I would be arriving in Pearisburg today, and I am. Now, the trip has looked nothing at all like what I had laid out. Like, I have not stayed at hardly any of the shelters that I thought I would. There are some of the hostels that I haven't stayed at that I thought I would stay at. I never thought I would do double zeros, but the fact that I've done some 20-mile days has given me a little bit more buffer. And that's part of the freedom yesterday with that terrible weather to take a day off, even though I had just had a double zero last week. I knew on my schedule I can still finish Virginia and get to my daughter's graduation in plenty of time. It's fine. So it actually, that planning tool has been a really liberating one for me, because it's not making me guess, like, can I finish this? Oh, I've got to do so many miles to get. I can see literally where I am and what I have to come, and all that it's going to take to get there. So if I continue to do days that are more comfortable to me, the 15 to 16 mile days, I really don't need to be doing these 20-mile days on a regular basis. And I think my ego is getting a little bit in the way. So I needed to kind of sit down and think about this and talk it through with my husband, and realize that just because I can doesn't mean I should. It doesn't mean it's good for me. I don't want to come in to camp or to a hostel at the end of the day feeling pain in my legs. That is unnecessary. If it's necessary and there's no way around it, and I'm gonna hike with pain every day, then that's the way it's gonna be. But if I can avoid it by doing 15 to 16 mile days instead of 20-mile days, then that's what I'm gonna be doing. So I need to be prepared for the fact that it's probably going to put me with a different friend group and a different group on the trail. But I think that that's going to ultimately be the way I'm going to have to do this in order to finish the trail and to not hurt myself in the meantime, or to make it not fun anymore, to make it, I felt last week like I was just pushing through the miles instead of out hiking, enjoying the hike. And that doesn't really have a lot to do with the weather. It's kind of like a psychological place that I was in. Like, I'm just grinding through, and I feel like, we're just over a quarter of the way done, 3/4 of the trip left to do. It's too early in the trail for this not to be enjoyable or fun, or just checking off the miles and get her done. That's not my mentality, and that's not what I want for this trip. Interesting sitting around the hostel having people talking about what they believe has to happen in order for you to get goodness out of the trail. And somebody said that they believed that you had to go through hardship and adversity in order to really grow from this experience. And I think that's an amazing thought process, and I'm glad that that person has that set out for themselves. I kind of coming from this from a little different perspective, that I have had adversity and hardship in my life, and this is a healing process in some ways for me, being out here. And maybe someday in the future I'll tell you more about that, but just know that there's more to my story than I've shared already. And part of this is being nice to myself and actually just respecting myself, and appreciating me instead of wanting me to be somebody that I'm not. And I'm not sure that I need to break myself down to my core in order to realize the best me or the goodness within me. So I don't know if this is all just, it's a scattered conversation, it's scattered thoughts. In my head it's making sense, and it's giving me clarity, and it's giving me focus moving forward, at least to this next week, on how I want things to look for my hike. And that is a risk when you hike with other people, is you do compromise, and that's great. It's been a lot of fun, and I hope that I'm continuing to hike with people. But I do know that I also need to make this my hike. I came out to do this hike solo, and was prepared to do that. So I need to be willing to be flexible and adaptive, and allow the trail to just move a little bit more organically than this forced nature of I've got to do 20, I've got to do 20, I've got to do 20. So let's see if I can stick to that once I get to town tonight and see some friends, and where that all goes. But it's even nice just sitting and chatting with you today instead of doing it all while I'm walking. It's a beautiful day. Can you see the bird right there? There's a couple. Let me move a little further out here. Just soaring on the thermals in here. Really cool up over on the skyline. Just catching the thermals along this ridgeline. Now this is the views that we love seeing. The countryside of Virginia. And this must be Pearisburg that we're coming down into, that I'm coming down into. It's beautiful. So I've been walking along the last couple miles by myself with my headphones in, singing at the top of my lungs, and it feels really cathartic and great, and I'm just loving it.
And if you feel me, that's alright. So I'ma keep living my life on top of life. Yeah, I'm feeling alright. Everything good? The people say, yeah. Up the setting.